Now that we have determined where everybody will pick, or at least predicted it on this channel, we are going to be hopping into the actual mock draft and who I think everybody will select. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting us off with the 15th overall pick, the Carolina Hurricanes are proud to select from SKA Yaroslav Askarov. So Askarov has been absolutely tearing it up. One of the best goaltender prospect that we've seen in a long time. Now, obviously, Spencer Knight went a little earlier last year, but I think that it would be hard for Carolina to pass up a guy like Askarov if he's still available. So you guys are going to have to hear me out on this as we go down the list and why I think Askarov will slip to 15, but for now, I think he's a Kane. With the 14th overall selection, the Florida Panthers are proud to select Rodin Amirov. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, but after a little bit of scouting, he is the 5th best prospect from European prospect that is a skater. I should add that, but I think that Amirov, I'm going to call him Amirov, I think that Florida needs a guy like him. He is a left winger and really could fit in well with the Panthers over the next few seasons. So I have him going 14th overall to the Florida Panthers. With the 13th overall selection, the Winnipeg Jets are proud to select Noel Gunler. Gunler is a truly fun prospect to watch. He's a right winger, and he's currently playing in the Swedish Elite League. Gunler is quite fun to watch, and I think that a right winger on a team like Winnipeg, as they're going a route not building that many North American prospects, another European prospect would be good for them, and I think that Gunler would fit well with the Winnipeg Jets. And moving on to number 12, the New Jersey Devils will select from Wisconsin in the NCAA, centerman Dylan Holloway. Holloway is really fun to watch. I've been fortunate enough to watch some of his highlights and some games of his since he's playing with Wisconsin. Me being a Montreal Canadiens fan, I've tuned in to see Cole Caulfield. And Holloway is currently ranked number 10 among North American skaters, and I think that it's realistic to see him sneak into the top 10 and go to a team like the New Jersey Devils. This one being from the Taylor Hall trade, this pick, so I think that a guy like Holloway would go well with, you've got Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, a bunch of young players, and I think that it would just add to that with getting Dylan Holloway. And moving on to the number 11 pick, I have this one being a bit of a surprise. I think that the New York Rangers will select Marco Rossi. Now, hear me out on this. I think Rossi will slip a little bit. He's with the Ottawa 67s right now and has really looked like a top 3 prospect. But I think with the way that this year's draft is stacking up, I think that it's realistic to see at least one player slip, and I think that it will be Marco Rossi. And I think he'll just slip out of the top 10 due to the next team wanting one of the best goal scorers in the draft, and I'm moving on to that team now, the Minnesota Wild. And the Wild will select Jack Quinn. Quinn, also being with Ottawa in the OHL, Jack Quinn has put up quite nice numbers as a right winger, and Gravity actually said that he might be one of the best goal scorers in the draft. And I agree with that. He might be one of the best. He's currently ranked 9 among North American skaters, and I think that Minnesota would be a perfect place to take a guy like Jack Quinn. and get someone that's good goal scoring and take a North American skater and see how it works out when you've got guys like Kevin Fiala, who's going to be there quite a long time, and then you've got all these prospects. I think that Minnesota will be one of the scariest teams to watch in the future, especially if they add a lethal goal scorer such as Jack Quinn. Moving on to the number 9 pick, I think that the Chicago Blackhawks will proudly select from the Swedish Elite League. I'm not going to try to pronounce that team's name, but from the Swedish Elite League, Alexander Holtz. Now, I think that Holtz could be a guy that slips down but stays in the top 10. You've got a team like the Chicago Blackhawks that I do predict slipping down in the lotto as well. And I think that there'll still be a guy such as Holtz available. It depends on who the other teams select, and it depends on the route that they want to go. There are other teams that I think will take the defensive route, and there's other teams that will just kind of take the best player available or the best player that they feel fits into their team. And I think that it's a good pick for the Hawks, Holtz being a very good right wing, and he'll fit on a line with someone like Kirby Dach in the future, and it would be a lot of fun to watch. Moving on to the number 8 selection, and this is where it gets interesting. I predict that the Montreal Canadiens will go the defensive route, and with the 8th overall selection, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select from the Prince Albert Crusaders in the WHL. Editor Angus just wanted to say it's the Prince Albert Raiders, not the Crusaders. Don't know what I was thinking there, but let's get back into it. Defenseman Caden Gooley. Now, Gooley has been a prospect that I have looked quite a bit at lately. And I'm going to go a little bit more in depth explaining why I think Montreal should take him. He's 18 years old. He's a left defenseman, which could definitely be a weakness for the Habs in the future, and I think that he's a strong skater. Currently, he has played 58 games with Prince Albert in the WHL, and this year's stats, he has 9 goals, 27 assists, 46 penalty minutes, and a plus-minus of plus 24. I know plus-minus doesn't mean much, but I thought I'd throw it in just in case. And I think that Gooley would be a good fit in Montreal, and they need a defenseman, and I do think that after we see Jamie Drysdale, there's a bit of a drop-off from the best defenseman to the second best defenseman, and the second best would have to be probably Gooley. Braden Schneider's also in there. He's not in the top 10 or the top 15 of my mock draft, but let's get back on track, and I think that Gooley goes 8th to Montreal. And with the 7th overall pick, the Anaheim Ducks are proud to select from HIFK in the Finnish Elite League, Anton Lundell. Now, Lundell, I think, will probably go 7th overall, and a team that would fit for him would definitely be the Anaheim Ducks, and that's where I predict the Ducks picking. And it would be good for Lundell, who's a centerman, to go to a team like that, and imagine him with Trevor Zegras. There's Sam Steele, Maxime Comtois, the Troy Terry, the list goes on and on about the young prospects in Anaheim, and I truly do think that they have a bright future. Now moving on to number 6, and with the 6th overall pick, the Buffalo Sabres are proud to select Lucas Raymond. Now, Raymond has been playing pretty well this year, and he's one of the more interesting prospects. He's currently ranked as the second best European prospect, and I don't blame them. The left winger would be good on a team like the Sabres, helping a guy like Jack Eichel out as they try to get the team back on the right path. And I think that it would be a smart move for Jason Botterill if he's even picking when the draft comes around. And now on to the top 5. With the 5th overall selection, it belongs to the Ottawa Senators, of course, and they will select the centerman Cole Perfetti. Perfetti's draft rankings have really rised in the last few months. Perfetti, obviously, he got cut from the World Junior team, but has been playing really well in the OHL. And I think that Cole Perfetti, we could see him going around 5, and to a team like Ottawa, who this is the 5th overall pick, and they have another one in the top 5, which they could get 2 generational players, or 2 elite players at least, in the top 5. But moving on to the New Jersey Devils at number 4. And the New Jersey Devils will select left winger Tim Stützle. Now, he has been absolutely tearing it up in Germany. Probably one of the most elite prospects we've seen in a long, long time. There's been comparisons, Leon Drysdale, the German connection there, and Stützle is one of the funnest prospects to watch. And I think that New Jersey, having Jack Hughes, and obviously I had them selecting Dylan Holloway earlier in the draft, Holloway and Stützle in the top 15 together, that would be lethal. And then having Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, the list continues to grow for the New Jersey Devils and first-round draft picks. And after getting Kevin Ball, of course, that is going to be elite. Stützle, Ball, Jack Hughes, Dylan Holloway, Nico Hischier in the future. Dang, that's scary for the Devils. And with a 3rd overall selection, it belongs to the Ottawa Senators, and they are proud to select the best defensive prospect in the draft. A guy that will play top minutes beside Thomas Chabot from Erie in the OHL, Jamie Drysdale. Now, I've heard people saying Drysdale will go between 5 and 10, between 1 and 3, between 3 and 5, but I think that 3 is a sweet spot, especially if it goes to the Ottawa Senators. They could use a guy that can play top minutes. They've got good prospects, obviously, if they drafted Perfetti earlier. They've got countless players that are outstanding. Drake Batherson and Thomas Chabot obviously needs a defensive partner, as I said, and Drysdale would be perfect. But let's waste no time and hop into the top 2. The 2nd overall selection belongs to the Los Angeles Kings, and the Los Angeles Kings are proud to select from Sudbury of the OHL, Quinton Byfield. Now, I've heard people talking about Byfield and how he could really be one of those players that could test Lafreniere for the 1st overall selection. But I don't think that's the case. I've read some scouting reports on Byfield. I've watched some highlights of his, and I don't think that he's quite on the same level as Lafreniere from the point of view as being NHL. He's definitely NHL ready, but I don't think he's the same level of NHL ready as Lafreniere, and I think that the Kings will still be lucky to get a guy like Byfield, and Quinn will be great for the Kings in the future. And without further ado, the 1st overall selection, the Detroit Red Wings are proud to select from Rimouski in the QMJHL. It's obviously Alexis Lafreniere. Now, Lafreniere has posted such impressive statistics this season, and it really makes me happy to see a Canadian succeed the way that Lafreniere has so far. And he will, if he does go to the Red Wings, which I predict he will, the Red Wings are getting the next generational player. And Lafreniere, he's better than Jack Hughes in my opinion, and he's going to be such a fun player to watch in the NHL for the years to come, and I quite frankly cannot wait to see him in a Red Wings jersey, although it would feel nicer to see him in a Montreal Canadiens jersey. I've kind of accepted the little bit of hope that I have is slowly going away. But Lafreniere is the best prospect in this year's draft, and just to recap, I have at the 15th overall pick, I have Askarov, then Amarov, Gunler, Holloway. Let me make that clear. Askarov to Carolina, Amarov to Florida, Gunler to the Jets, Holloway to the Devils, Rossi to the Rangers, Quinn to the Wild, Holtz is going to be a Chicago Blackhawk, Caden Gooley will be a Montreal Canadian at 8, in my opinion, and 7, Lundell, 6, the Sabres will select Raymond, 5, the Senators get Cole Perfetti, at 4, Tim Stutzel will go to the New Jersey Devils, 3, Jamie Drysdale to the Senators, 2, Quinton Byfield to the Kings, and 1, Alexis Lafreniere to the Detroit Red Wings. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next video. This is Prospect Month, by the way. I'll be talking about prospects all of March, but I will not be shying away from normal NHL news like I do. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know your top 15 in the comments below. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.